Have you ever thought about quitting sugar and then heard that it basically means not eating anything except steak, eggs, and greens? Yeah, hard pass. But what if I told you that quitting sugar doesn't mean that at all? You can still eat fruit, enjoy some dates, and roast a whole pan of sweet potatoes if you want, because naturally sweet foods were never the problem. The problem is one specific thing that came out of a factory. Today, we're looking at what happens to your body when you quit sugar for 14 days, including one organ no one else is talking about. Once you see this, you'll never look at granola bars the same way again. Now, let's clear up why you can still eat fruit. There's a really important difference between naturally sweet foods and foods with added sugar. When you eat an apple, the fiber wraps around the sugar and slows it down, so your body sips it. But when you drink apple juice, especially the kind in a box that most people give their kids, the fiber has been stripped away and the concentrated sugar hits all at once, like a flood with no walls to hold it back. And that factory sugar is hidden everywhere, like in your pasta sauce, your cereal, and those so-called healthy yogurt cups. Which brings me to a scary fact. The average person eats around 17 teaspoons of added sugar a day. That's 2 to 3 times what conventional health experts allow. Your body has a lot to unlearn, so let's walk through it day by day. Days 1 through 3 are where all the drama lives. Within the first day or two, you might get headaches, mood swings, and cravings that almost feel loud. Don't worry, these are withdrawal symptoms. And that pounding head? You'd think it would be from dehydration, but it's actually from a hormone called insulin, which is made in your pancreas. You can think of insulin like a dial. When it's up, your body holds on to fat, and it tells your kidneys to hold on to salt and water. When it comes down, your body lets go. You see, sugar keeps insulin jacked up, so the moment you remove the sugar, insulin starts to fall, and the first thing that happens is your kidneys let go of the salt, and the water is what carries it out. But it's the sodium loss that makes your head pound, which is why you won't find relief by drinking more water. In fact, plain water actually makes it worse because you're diluting the very thing you're short on. So to handle that headache, put a pinch of Celtic salt in your water and then you'll replace what you lost. You can thank me later. But that's not the only thing going on because for years, sugar's been hitting the reward center in your brain, handing you a little spike of feel-good chemistry with every soda, candy bar, or syrupy flavored coffee. Studies show that heavy sugar use dulls those reward signals over time, so your brain needs bigger and bigger hits just to feel normal. Take the sugar away, and your brain throws a tantrum while it recalibrates. Translation? You're gonna feel worse before you feel better. But here's the part nobody tells you. Your gut is throwing a tantrum too. You've been feeding a whole population of sugar-loving bacteria down there, and when the processed sugar stops, they start to starve. And research shows they don't go down without a fight, sending craving signals up to your brain, begging for just one more hit. Now, there's another layer to this that I bet you've never heard about, and it comes from the ancient Indian system of natural medicine known as ayurveda. One of its concepts is Agni, which is your digestive fire, and it's considered the seat of health. This is what breaks down your food, extracts the nutrients, and eliminates the waste. But eating processed sugar smothers this fire. So when you quit, it allows the smoke to clear and reignites the flame. Before we move on, I've got a couple questions for you. Have you ever tried to quit sugar before? If so, how long did your sugar cravings last? Drop it in the comments below because it really helps people know they're not alone. Okay, on to days 4 through 6 when the storm starts to break. The insulin dial has been down for a few days, your body has been letting go, and you notice a few things. Suddenly, your cravings have softened, your face looks less puffy, your jawline looks sharper, and you might even notice you've lost a few pounds of water weight in a matter of days, which is a great sign because it means the buildup is starting to be released. The Ayurvedic term for that buildup is ama. Remember how I said that your digestive fire extracts nutrients and gets rid of waste? Well, when that fire isn't burning strong, The waste can't get eliminated, and ama is what you're left with. Think of it like toxic sludge getting stuck inside you. This translates to things like plaque in the arteries, visceral fat, kidney stones, etc. When your digestive fire was smothered, that ama piled up with nowhere to go. Now that the fire is reignited, it can burn off the sludge and flush it out through your body's natural exits. And your kidneys releasing excess water is one example of this. Then comes day 7, and more symptoms roll in. Your energy dips, and a thick fog rolls across your brain. You feel slow and cranky and certain you're doing something wrong. You're not. For years, your blood sugar has been on a roller coaster, spiking and crashing all day long, and your body got very good at riding it. Now it's learning to run on a flat line instead, and that adjustment takes a few rough days. The fog is your brain stepping off the ride. Change is never comfortable, but here's the beautiful part. The worst day shows up right before the payoff. Because remember that organ I mentioned earlier? It's your liver. And while your brain is busy complaining, your liver is getting its first real break in years. If you can push through day 7, you've made it through the hardest part, and it's all downhill from here. Real quick, if this is helping you understand your own body a little better, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's the simplest way to keep these videos coming. Okay, back to the liver, because what it does next is the whole reason we're here. Days 8 through 10 are when your liver finally gets to breathe. Here's something most people don't know. Your gut handles a little fructose just fine. That's the sugar in fruit, and it was never the problem. But a slushie or a milkshake overwhelms your gut in seconds, and everything that spills over goes straight to your liver. Sugary stuff like this is basically a liver event before it's anything else. And when your liver can't keep up, it starts stashing the overflow as fat. That's what fatty liver is, and it's now the most common liver condition in the world. So now that the sugar is gone, your liver can get back to filtering your blood, sorting your fats, and cleaning house, aka clearing ama. And your liver isn't the only one thanking you. Your pancreas gets a break too. It's been pumping out insulin all day, every day, for years just to keep pace. But now it finally gets to slow down. And studies show that around this time, systemic inflammation also starts to calm down. And lower inflammation shows up in ways that you can see and feel, like your joints feel less stiff and your skin looks calmer and less blotchy. Now, there's a fascinating explanation for the improvement in your skin. It's a process called glycation, where sugar molecules latch onto the collagen that keeps your skin firm and slowly starts to stiffen it, a bit like rust forming on metal. Pull the sugar and you slow down the rusting process. Now, your wrinkles are not gonna vanish in 10 days, so let's be honest about that. But the puffiness and the dull, tired look will start to lift. Are you noticing the pattern here? Your gut kicked this off and your liver carried it forward. The two of them work together to run your whole metabolism. Damage one and you're burdening the other. By day 11, the changes move to somewhere surprising: your tongue. Fun fact, your taste buds refresh themselves on roughly a 10-day cycle. So right about now, the taste buds that were numbed by processed sugar have been swapped out for fresh ones. Studies show that when you cut back on processed sugar, your sense of sweetness actually sharpens, like your tongue got an upgrade. A piece of fruit will taste shockingly sweet, take the edge off, and fuel you without the crash. There's literally no downside. By days 12 and 13, yet another thing clicks into place. There's a hormone called leptin that tells your brain you're full. Too much sugar makes your brain go a little deaf to that signal, which is why you could finish a huge meal and still eye the dessert menu. As the sugar clears out, your brain starts responding to leptin again, and many people find they start feeling satisfied sooner and eat less without white-knuckling it. And then you reach day 14. Your cravings are calm, your energy runs steady, your face looks brighter, and food feels like fuel instead of a nasty boss that's jerking you around. But here's the real prize, and it's not on the scale. You proved to yourself that you were never weak. You were just addicted to a substance that was manufactured to keep you coming back for more. It's important to note that things that are good for you don't make you feel bad when you stop them. You're not going to go into withdrawals from running out of bananas or dates. Just saying. Basically, processed sugar keeps the body in a state of chronic inflammation and pushes you down the road toward insulin resistance, which is the on-ramp to type 2 diabetes. So if you're suffering from anything ranging from aching joints to stubborn weight gain to brain fog, bad skin, or waking up at 3 a.m. for no reason, quitting processed sugar is a very simple way to start cleaning up your diet and support your body in functioning more efficiently. But I need to give you an important safety note. If you take medication for blood sugar or blood pressure, loop your doctor in first because cutting sugar really works and your dose was set for your old diet. For those of you who have made it this far, I saved the best part for last, and it's something you'll never see coming. Sweet is not the enemy. In fact, it's mandatory. You see, there are 6 tastes: sweet, salty, sour, pungent, astringent, and bitter. According to Ayurveda, sweet is meant to be the biggest part of your plate because it's the most nourishing and building of them all. But it doesn't mean dessert. It means root vegetables, rice, ghee, and other whole foods that build you up. It never meant stripped down, concentrated sweetness. So the next time you're roasting beets and yams and some fitness influencer is telling you these sweet foods are bad because sugar and carbs and blah, 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 you have my permission to roll your eyes at them, enjoy your meal, and know you're eating exactly as nature intended. If you know someone who's struggling with chronic health issues, share this video with them. And if you're ready to dive even deeper into how to work with your body instead of against it, check out this video right here. Remember, longevity isn't luck, it's a lifestyle. Until next time.